Good morning, folks. It's 4:22. Come on, phone. He's trying to wake up like I am. Tuesday, November 24th. Huh? Now it's 3:44. 4:43. Numerology you read right to left to get the most meaning out of it. I just got out of bed, kind of tired, but wanted to talk to you about something while it was still fresh in my head. You all know I have like 370, 80 or something videos out there. They all have some bits and pieces of knowledge, information for you. I've written the two books, the creation series. Book number 1, Creation is Beginning and Your Origin. Number 2, Creation, its journey evolving into paradise. That tells you so much. It gives the information how creation actually started. Forget your biblical text and all that crap. We were taught that, our parents were taught that, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on. It's a bunch of bull. I'm just different. That's why I can see that, and I was here to bring those books and play janitor on the other side while I was stuck in a body. And I've done about all I can with that until I go home. Drop the body, go home, and finish cleaning up. Now, most all you know that. There has to be, like I was saying earlier, there has to be some repeat when you've put out as many videos as I have. But those of you that have been following me a long time, please understand that there's a lot of new people coming in all the time. This all being said, I want to get to the heart of the matter. Creation is sick. Creation is an assembly of spirit, sentient beings. It's sentient energy, so I call it spirit beings, because that's just what it is. You all know I'm not too fancy about words or anything else, especially not my attire. Man, it's early. You have to wonder sometimes, how did this all start? These bodies, everything around us, how did it start? What started it? Where do we come from? What the hell's going on? Well, if you were to try to take the whole thing moment by moment, no one has the time to sit through that. But let's talk about the basic events that got us to where we're at. In what's known as the first dimension. As a matter of fact, where did that come from? This isn't even in the books. I've said it once or twice in video, but let's say it again. Love my water. So where did everything come from? How did everything start? Well, it's a real long time ago, and it's kind of like nothing, like space, like nothingness, but it's not space. It's hard to describe. Okay, it really is. When we try to understand something in our mind, we need some type of image. That's why once a few people have woken up you can get seven very strong, 7 people who are very strong with the metaphysical abilities, and they can go look at the same thing. You can say, all of you go look at Joe's spirit guides, or go look at something, and they'll all come back with a slightly different image. The reason for that is they're not. No one's wrong. No one is wrong. But when they go to look at something, they're actually seeing something as energy, as spirit, sentient energy that doesn't have a physical form. So how do you relate to it? You relate to it by talking with it, seeing it, and then as you get, your spirit does, and then your spirit still being in your brain, the two parts of your spirit, what they call the Kundalini, the spirit of the planet, that's about 40% of it, and then the spirit, remember, spirit's sentient energy, it's a being, and then the spirit, that's you inside the body visiting, which is about 60% of the core energy. Then you're in the brain, and together you're working to try and get an image that you can understand. So you're looking at energy that has no physical form, no shape whatsoever. You can't see it. Can you see electricity flowing through the wires? No. I mean, I can stare at it and see it. It's kind of neat looking stuff. I see frequencies and stuff, but whatever. But can we see that stuff? No. If we can't see it, how can we understand it in our heads? Well, we do, because as spirit, the two spirits, the two parts of that make up who we actually are in this body, we work with the brain to try to understand, what are we looking at? What are we trying? What are we communicating with? So we take images that we have in our memories, and we actually sometimes flow back through our lives in time, and then go look at things. Okay, spirit. Remember, spirit moves in and out of time, no problem. Okay, so that way 7 people can see the same thing, but it's going to look a little different, or maybe a lot different in some circumstances. Excuse me. So that is how we perceive what's out there, and how we try to understand it for ourselves. When we look at, when if you have a class of 30 people and one person holds up, the teacher or whatever, one person from the class holds up a card that's got a blue dot on it, then everyone says, okay, that's a blue dot. There might be a little discrepancy on the color factors, especially if somebody's eyes aren't made too good to see color. But that's different. It's physical. When it's metaphysical, okay, when it's not from the third dimension, where it's not physical, excuse me, then we have a hard time. It takes longer for us to try to understand it, and it is more difficult, and it is something that has to be developed over time. Okay. That's how we basically see things. That was important to say, but now let's get into the meat of what I want to talk about. When creation was started, it's like vast nothingness, and then all these different energy fields just floating around. Some heavy particulate matter, kind of a weird place. Now, how that got there, I can't tell you. Sorry. It's impossible. It's impossible for me to go. Excuse me. It's impossible for me to go back beyond that point. When there's a lot of different energies that came together and started just hanging out together. Almost coagulating, but not coming to a clot. If you're in the medical field, or you understand just blood clotting, but I don't have a really good analogy for that right now, but it's just energies coming together that want to stay together, and then they start just kind of flowing in and out of each other. But it's a whole lot of them, and there's not a hard pull, it's just a soft pull, so they're just kind of hanging around almost like a cloud. Okay. Then 4 different energy fields within this cloud really wanted to hold together. They came together and started just coming into each other. And then all of a sudden, here comes this fifth energy. And this is the big one. It's a form of electromagnetic energy, okay? And it comes into the mist and it starts mixing up. It actually, these five energies together actually created sentient energy. There is heavy particulate matter that was hanging around, and that literally came into the mess. Excuse me, that came into the mess and eventually managed to create sentient energy. There's no great being that or universe power or anything that was pushing this together. It was just things that eventually came together. That's how the first being became came into being. I can go to that point. I can see that. I can see just before it. But while I'm in this body, I have no way to describe anything else. What's inside me, it's called the primary focal point of Ara, just like what's inside Karen is the primary focal point of Lily. We're just old, big, and strong from the beginning. All of us came from that first being, but some were released at different points and things like that. So that's how the first being basically came into being. And then later on, it just kept coming more and more alive. Some heavy particulate matter came in there. By the way, that's where negativity comes from. The more heavy particulate matter that's put into an energy field, as it becomes sentient, the more negative the being's going to be. And the first being just happened to be 27.5% negative. Okay? Negative frequencies aren't bad, but too many of them are not good, and they do tend to be more aggressive, and they can be strong. It's just understanding what it is. But when a sentient being is becoming alive, it's not a good thing. Okay, it causes a whole lot of issues. So, that being said, as this first being started becoming alive and becoming sentient, and it finally did become sentient, self-aware, and then it started growing in size, and then it started realizing after a while, hell, I'm alone. I'm the only one. And then eventually it got tired of that, and it separated itself into two different beings. And that was, believe it or not, the beginning of the male and female. That's a thought process that just kind of happened by wanting company, and that's why the original first being separated itself into two different pieces. It's one being that separated itself into two slightly different, formats. Well, that's how it started. This thing was 27.5% negative, and to be full source spirit, especially with that negativity, it had issues. Folks, that just happened. Okay, so then later on, it wanted more company than just itself. The male and female, and they went ahead and started getting into this building biz creation. The universe was made by many heavy particulate pieces of matter, and just taking them and then throwing them out, and then literally transmutating the metal itself, the matter itself, heavy matter, a lot of it metal. That's how things basically got started. And then they took parts of their own energy, and then they took a third of their own energy combined. They came together like this. They couldn't become one again. They didn't want that to ever happen, so that they fixed it so they wouldn't. And then they just literally would take their energy and just release a third of it. And then they take that third of that energy was original source energy. It was also 27.5% negative, like I said. Now they reached in, took all the negativity out of that. They took 97% of the negativity out and set it aside over here. Okay? Now, as soon as they did that, then this energy field was really clean. The first thing they did is reach in there and then pull. That's where the first angels came from, as well as some other stuff. Very strong hitters. So then they took a large piece of very high vibration energy, but still a little bit of density to it, and then they literally had it take care of the negative field of energy. Okay, they had it protect everything else. It isolated that negative source energy. That was very powerful stuff. Okay, they had a name for that angel. Guess what his name is? Lucifer. There's no devil, folks. He was originally taken out and set aside to protect everything else, to isolate this negative source energy. Remember, negative just means it's negative. It doesn't want to be bothered. It doesn't want to be happy. That's the way it is. But also, that's where most of your aggressive problems come from, or at least where they did in the beginning. So, that's done. Then you still have this huge energy field. 4/5 of that they took out, separated, and then they made into two huge groups of spirit. The group at the top is about like this. The group at the bottom about like this. Okay, now that there's a big offset there. The group at the bottom, they were bigger. All those that big piece that they pulled out and set aside, and then they separated. Before they separated, or as they separated, the frequencies, the strong frequencies of the mothering type love, were pulled over here, and then also into this field. Fortitude, massive fortitude, was poured down into it. This thing split into what's called Lydia and Ormelius. Okay, this piece over here was split into what's called Lilith and Aramelius. Now these two down here were incredibly powerful. They had all well, they're all powerful, but these two down here especially, they were much stronger. They were made like that with a fortitude, so that the original first being halves, male and female, they knew that they came out of this dimension. They knew something else eventually would. They wanted to be prepared for that. So this large thing here, the fortitude, went down there as this being split into male and female. The fortitude was being pushed into the male part, and then on the female part there was the love. Now, it's not a direct cut with neither has neither, but as this thing was pulling apart, the massive fortitude was going into the male part, and then a female, the love, and that's how you got Lilith and Aramelius. Now, once they were separated, these two parts of original source energy, but minus the negativity, so it's clean source energy, clean, full source energy, whatever, clean source energy. The two strongest parts of these two things were pulled out to go into bodies and have lives. The Lilith and Aramelius, just as they are, they were too big to ever put in a body. Folks, that's just not going to happen. Lily and Ara were huge, but they could at least take part of them, part of themselves, put it in a body, and the rest hang out everywhere. So then they started having lives, okay, and they got strong. And then the original first being took these very strong and very loving beings, and then they literally started trying to set up lives for them, and they screwed up a lot. No one ever done this before. This is all new, but that's why they had to have such strong energy in there to start. And as this happened, they also noticed that they grew, especially Ara. Both of them grew very hard, very fast. They were both incredibly powerful, but then Ara really started growing because of the fortitude that he had. So they started abusing him more, beating him up more, purposely, and they were watching the two of them just increasingly grow. The whole idea from that happening was trying to find a way to start growing them bigger, so that they could take them and then get them to release pieces and then have more people. And the whole time they wanted everything to worship them. They wanted to be adored. They didn't even want to be loved. It was 27.5% negative. They just wanted to be adored. They wanted to be praised. And that's how creation got sick. It started in the beginning. Um, it's a sad thing. Karen and I were kept from being aware of each other for a long time. I've talked in a lot of videos about how there's a barrier going down the middle of the brain, and uh, the um, the body, the spirit from the planet is on the left side of the brain, and the right side of the brain is where the spirit from the visiting spirit, most of what we are as we talk, um, is where it resides. I'm not going to go there. I want to make this as short as possible, but uh, these bodies are made to hold us in it. We're made to go through a lot of abuse, and that's how y'all got bigger. And I mean, right now y'all are huge. You have no idea how big you are, but that barrier that they put in your brain, that was to keep the both sides of the brain from talking to each other. Also, the original angels, they put them on your head. You know, they put them around you, and then they take their energy, go into your crown, and literally run you, mess with your brain, your thought process, your spirit guides, which is what you are when you're out of a body and you want to help someone, or you're told to. Then you go help someone go through a life, and then you're told to lie to them sometimes. So, I removed the barriers. What's inside me? I removed the barriers. Remember, when I say me, this spirit is huge. It's incredibly powerful, and it's on the body it's attached to. It's outside all over the place. Okay, so some things just happen. Like when I would go to attack stuff and kill it, literally, that's our, you know, working through me. It's just the main focal point of it's in me. It's really hard to describe. Um, but that's, you know, there's people here that are strong enough to see it. Anyway, so Lily and I were kept from seeing each other until the end, until near the end of my being here. Um, the main focal points of it, Marilyn Monroe was initially she was the primary focal point of energy, of spirit, sentient energy to break out of Lily, and I was the primary one that came out of Ara. The problem is that the piece of Lily that was inside Marilyn Monroe did not have the same fortitude I had, and she got beat up hard, and she really had some issues. A long, long, long time ago, the main body of Lily already knew that what's inside Karen would be her driver. And what they call driver, and Lily herself, the body of her, already gave me that information, you know, a long time ago. She said, just, it's a driver. Think of it like a driver, like someone gets in a car and drives it. Then the body of Lily, and then the part of Lily that, and the focal point of Lily that is incredibly powerful, but also the one that's got the most heart in her. She's the biggest, strongest. She's the one. Lily's body energy decided that what's inside Karen was going to go inside her a long time ago. So anyway, eventually that'll be happening, but I'll be leaving, getting out and getting inside Ara's body before long. But while in a body, before coming out, is where I had to do what I did. This isn't self-glorification. It's just trying to get you to understand what's going on. Everybody is important. Everybody means a lot, especially me and Karen and many others. We're family. We all are. We're family. And it's time for this, you know, it was time for this 27.5% negative original being, plus the other big guys that were very clean, but still a big issue through arrogance. It was time for them to be taken down and deleted, and they have been. Except for little teeny pieces running around, they have been. A lot of the souls are gone. Gone. The this first book Creation is beginning your format. This tells you what's around. This tells you how it started. Okay, there's all kinds of, there's so much stuff in there. It's only 134 pages, but if you want to know what's out there, you need to either develop your abilities and see it for yourself. And folks, I'm sorry you're not ready for that yet. Some of you can, but as a group, no. There's no way. You're evolving. Everyone's DNA is evolving. Scientists are starting to say, gee, everyone's DNA is changing. Into where's it going? We don't know. We just notice it's changing. It is. It's time. Okay. This book, Creation's Journey Evolving in a Paradise. This is about the war that happened, all the stuff being taken out. I didn't spend a whole lot of time. It's 412 pages. It should have been 600 something pages in 4 books or something, but I didn't have the time because I got to get out of here. I got to drop the body. I've been waiting for a long time. I thought I was going earlier, and then on the other side, they, what's left over there trying to run things, until just recently, didn't really know, how to do it. Nothing else ever ran anything on the other side except for the original first being. Okay, so now that that's gone, you have the new stuff, some of the new clean stuff, trying to put things together, and then just recently, a few days ago, part of Arrow, the primary focal point, that what's inside me, a big piece of it that was inside me is really driving me nuts, and I needed to get it out. And part of me knew I needed to get out because he knew he needed to get out. Excuse me. The focal point of Arrow that's in me is huge. It's crazy huge. It's crazy strong. Okay, it's the thing that kept getting beat up harder and harder and harder, and just kept getting stronger. Life after life. When you have a life and you come out of your body, then your energy goes poof. It gets a little bigger and it evolves a little bit. That's why we have these lives. When you get beat up, when you're coming out and you've had a real hard life, you go poof. You get bigger. Okay, you really get harrowed. You come out and boom, you grow. And that's what happened to me over 10.846 trillion times. Okay, the focal point that's inside this body. So anyway, as huge as it is, there's this other very big part inside me that was an important part of me while I had to fight all the stuff that was attacking me. Folks, I didn't just go after stuff. It was coming at me, attacking me. It's like, you will not, because I'm here to do what I've already started to do, write these 2 books, take out the trash. So I call myself the janitor. And literally destroy the system of abuse that's been here on this planet forever. It's been on all the other planets forever. It's been everywhere forever, because that's how it all started. Creation started sick. So that being said, without the abusers running it, the original first being male and female, because they've been deleted, without the other 2 large pairs of energy, Lydia, Armalius, Lilith, and Aramalius, without them hanging around, them being deleted, except for very small parts that have been saved. And then there was other arrogant stuff too. The original first angels, the original first angels were put on you and run you, control you. If it was time to save you, they'd save you. If it was time for you to break your leg, they'll break your leg. If it's time for your daughter to die, they'll kill your daughter. They did that. They were servants. They didn't care. Anyway, so good boy, Herky, honey. So anyway, that's the abuse system. That's how creation was actually made. After the first life, that's the format that was made for creation. And Karen remembers back when Lily and Arrow were one being, but Karen and I were definitely a part of it, and we remember that. Just like myself, when she heard the song Fallen Embers, that's something that Lily's energy, collective energy, put into Enya's mind when she wrote the song Fallen Embers, and she, like me, just fell to tears. I mean, hard tears. She remembers what it was like, that first life. It was on a planet, the first planet that had sentient life on it. I call it Gaira. That's the name she wants, so that's why I call it Gaira. Gaeira. It's like we have Gaia here, so she said just call me Gaira. Um, and she was 270 times the mass of Jupiter, the largest planet there's ever been. So, anyway, that's how it all started. The original first being male and female were raising everything to grow bigger. They were putting everything through lives to grow bigger so that they could release more small pieces and make everything praise them. That's what it was about. They wanted a praise machine. So it's kind of sick. They're gone. The other problems are almost all completely gone, just little pieces of it. They'll be taken care of pretty soon, and then a new format is installed. Once that happens, and it's, man, folks, I'm telling you, it's hanging right on the edge. There's already a certain calm that's out in the field that has only been there a few days, and that's about to be installed. And then things change. Everybody was getting sick. For all the abuse you were having in your lives, was literally building up frequencies. I see these things, okay? I see the frequencies in there, and they were just sick. I looked at them, I said, man, I have no way for my conscious mind to really relate to this thing, but I break it down in sine waves and stuff. I used to be a master automotive tech. Don't like that word master. That's what they said. But anyway, I was really good at the stuff, worked a lot of computer stuff, electronics. Used an oscilloscope all the time, watching, electricity and stuff move around. And I could see where it's just, that's how the thought process I use to see it. And I could see it broken up. It's almost like it went digital and analog at the same time, on and off. But I saw that the different energy field, and different frequencies all put off an aura. It's a byproduct. Okay? So I saw that, and I started pulling it out of people, and it just really helps them out. But y'all were developing that. It's not one of your personal frequencies that already pre-existed. Getting sick. It was additional ones just growing in there from what you went through. So you can pull them out, and then the person's fine, except for the memories of everything. But anyway, everybody had that on the other side. Everybody had it in a body. I mean, all kinds of issues were going on. People were having lives too close together. Okay, as that happens, then you have past life issues, and they make your life tougher. So that increases the amount of abuse you get while you're in a body. Again, making you even stronger when you get out. Fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, they serve no purpose whatsoever other than to make your life miserable, just little bits and pieces all the time. Some people, some companies, Monsanto's, you know what this means? You know what's coming up, a finger? Yeah. You ruin this planet, hurting animals, people, and everything else. You're coming down hard. You're all going to be ripped apart, and you'll find out about in the future. So anyway, the abusers on the other side have been taken down. There's next to nothing left, and your first angels too. They're all gone except for Lucifer and Archangel Michael, the ones you called those. You gave those two names. They're alive. Almost all the rest of them, the rest of the other ones are dead. Not almost, not all of them, but almost. Anyway, so now what's going to happen is that these physical bodies also are going to flow away. Next 2,000 years. Next 2,000 years, the new bodies will be starting to come in a lot. It's going to be more for other planets, but you're going to start seeing the Fae here too, because the Fae have very similar bodies. They're energetic. When you reproduce, you put your energies together, and then you separate out of you another actual form of body. It's a spirit body. energy body. It's a whole lot different. And let's leave that there for now. Uh, I want to hurry up and finish this, but I want you to know that that's how things got to be the way they are. Animals having to kill animals and eat themselves all day long to stay alive. We eat them. I mean, it's everything. Everywhere you look around you, it's abuse. There's it's not to struggle is fine, but this abuse stuff, the way everything's set up, folks, that's changing. And if you don't like it, tough. It doesn't matter. If you like it, good. But if you don't like it, tough. There's nothing you can do about it. It's changing. That's the cure. Getting rid of the junk that created this, getting rid of the junk that wanted to maintain it. And they're dead. They're gone. And there's now something very huge, a piece of the focal point that's in this body that's around M66. The other side of the control center for all creation used to be at M3, Meissner 3, or Meissner 3, however you say it. M3, that's where it used to be, that star cluster. Now it's M66. That's the new source family residence. Ara put that together a long time ago. There will be a new council coming in the future, not too long from now either. Okay, we're talking years. We're not talking about, something crazy. And it will be located at M3 again. Okay? And that will be little councils of all different fields of spirit there are. And they have representatives, and you all just run your own lives. But the new format is compassion, honor, and equality. No more abuse. Folks, I got to run, get my coffee and get Herc's medicine, right, buddy? The poor guy's asleep already. He's tired too. He's waiting to go. Anyway, look, love you all. That's a quick summary of creation's abuse. And creation's cancer is also arrogance. I've talked a bit about that, but arrogance requires zero negativity. And that's been handled too, for the most part, but it'll keep being handled. It will not be allowed. Something thinks it's better than something else, and while it's in a body, it needs to be taught it's not. And it will be. Folks, things are going to change. I've said for years now, 2020 is, things are going to be so much different that you won't even hardly remember before it. Folks, love you. Take care and have a good one.